Welcome to the Thursday show. What can I say? Um, Phone lines are open, and Chris Ann Hall was going to join me, but she had something come up, so she'll join me next week. In fact, It's been a really weird week. So it must be like crazy graduation, just everywhere, right in the country. Just sort of this ending of the year in that way, school year. So I am really guest heavy, like lots of guests next week, and I'm off tomorrow and Monday, and then I've got a lot of guests piled up for next week. It's just kind of how it goes. Suzanne Sherman will be joining me next week. Mel Madison will be joining me next week. All kinds. So um, the phone lines are open. I'm going to talk about the bill, the bill that passed. And I always think, okay, let's just go right to the truth. What's the truth of the bill? Because you've heard the rights, what total, I think MAGA people are saying. You've heard what the left is saying, and of course, that's all mainstream media. And so, what's the truth? What's going on? And I'm actually going to give you really two different theories. Like there's two different theories kind of being passed around, and so that gets a little interesting too. But I would like you to call in because I feel like, I know you have a lot to say about it. I'm sure you've been hearing a lot, reading a lot, and you guys are really good about that, keeping up on everything. So I want to hear what you have to say, but people are calling this sort of a five-alarm dumpster fire. Okay. And Thomas Massey was actually interviewed on The New American, and he actually had some great things to kind of spell out about this bill. So I'm going to play this. I think that this is really good. So just listen to Thomas Massey kind of spell out what the problems are in this bill. And then I have a lot more detail for you. This is Thomas Massey. Here we go.
Is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to make good on the promises Republicans have made. For example, the bill even renews the tax cuts from the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2016 of 2017 that you voted for during Trump's first term. So why do you oppose the big, beautiful bill now?
Okay, so that was the interviewer. Here is Thomas Massey, because he did vote yes 2017. Now he's voting no, getting a lot of grief for it. Okay, here we go.
Well, it got too big, unfortunately. If this were just a renewal of the Tax Cut and Jobs Act that I voted for during the first Trump presidency, and it cut spending, we could do that easily by repealing all of the Green New Deal, for instance. It would be probably a pretty easy vote. But here's the thing. This bill also increases spending. It's got about $300 billion of new spending in it. And it doesn't cut spending, much spending at all anywhere. So here's the problem overall. Even though I agree with a lot of the policy that's in there, if you take the totality of everything, the debt will be over $50 trillion in 10 years. Now, we were already headed for a lot of debt, but this exacerbates the problem. The big, beautiful bill will add, in addition to the $20 trillion that we were already going to incur, by not addressing those issues and by increasing spending and cutting taxes, it's going to add another $3.5 trillion at least to the debt. Here's the problem with that. Yesterday, we already saw that the rates went up on the bonds, on U.S. Treasury bonds. They're now at 5%. 5% is what we have to pay the U.S. government, not a car loan. This is what the U.S. government pays to finance debt on a 30-year note now. And that's because the bond markets are saying that we're not serious. So in addition to the debt that we're adding with the big, beautiful bill, it will send a message to the bond market that costs us more to service the debt that we've already incurred.
Okay, and here's some more.
Of your question, I obviously don't think I should be voted out of office for telling the American people what they need to hear. Maybe it's not what they want to hear, but you can't have increased spending and cut taxes without increasing the debt and sending a signal to the people who service our debt that we're not a good. He did also address, though, the blue state Republicans who have advocated for and actually have gotten in this bill some really bad tax policy. So what I'm talking about is the state and local tax deduction, which under Trump's original tax policy in 2016, 2017, they reduced the state and local tax deduction down to $10,000. And you heard a lot of groaning and moaning from blue states because their taxes are so high, they think they shouldn't have to pay as much federal tax. And I think it's ridiculous to say because you own $1 million house in the state of New York and they're taxing you out the wazoo on your property tax, that your obligation to, for instance, finance our military is any less, because that's basically what you're saying when you give these folks in the high tax states, which are all run by Democrat governors, California, Illinois, New York, when you give them this tax deduction because their taxes are so high at the local level. Well, you've got some Republicans who got that increased to $30,000, which is a reversal of Trump's tax policy, but Mike Johnson agreed to do it. And this is another thing that's contributing to the large deficit that will be incurred due to the big, beautiful bill. But he admonished those blue state Republicans. He said, listen, you're not going to win or lose your election over this tax deduction. And, you know, if you lose your reelection, it's going to be over something else. And he basically told him, you got too greedy. We were able to do a little bit of this for you, but now you insist on getting more than $30,000 tax deduction in these blue states. And so just drop it. Now, the blue state Republicans have not responded well to their tongue lashing that they got this morning. And maybe they'll join me now in their opposition to the big, beautiful bill. I don't know. Trump also told the Freedom Caucus, who he referred to as his favorite people in the room, he said, quit talking about cutting Medicaid. He said, you can talk about waste, fraud, and abuse and eliminating that, but don't go any further. Now, the problem is this bill sets up a situation where the states that haven't expanded Medicaid will be encouraged to expand Medicaid in those states. Otherwise, they'll be punished and be subsidizing other states. And so that's going to add hundreds of billions of dollars. And it's not a cut to Medicaid. It's just something that needs to be fixed in this bill. Also, the Freedom Caucus, of which I'm not a member, but I join them in this viewpoint, believes that there should be work requirements for able-bodied individuals on Medicaid who don't have children. There's really no excuse not to work. Those are in this bill, but here's the thing, they don't kick in for another 4 years. So Trump will be out of office. Here's another thing about this bill they're not telling you. It doesn't repeal all of the Green New Deal. In fact, the repeal of the Green New Deal is phased out and doesn't happen until Trump is no longer in office. What this does is it sets up an incentive for the Democrats to win the White House and undo all of this before it kicks in. The savings in the big, beautiful bill happen in the last 5 of the 10-year window, and the expenses that are caused by the big, beautiful bill happen in the first 5-year window. And that's just one of the things you're not hearing. Let me give.
Wow. Okay. I do have a caller. So go ahead, caller. You're live. Okay. I guess I don't. Anyway. All right. Okay. Got shy. So that was Thomas Massey kind of spelling out a little bit more on this deal. And you can see how what he's saying is making sense. It can be easily undone. There are some that, what we think are some of the good things can be easily undone because they don't kick in for quite a while. Okay. So we have, in the last 230 years, we have 45 presidents generating $21.8 trillion of public debt. Okay. In the next 10 years, that's going to go through the roof. We have, and this is, it's a huge, big problem. So what people are focusing on are a couple of little things that they go, these are wins. These are what we want. But like Thomas Massey said, the overall picture of what's happening, bad. bad, really bad. Massive, massive red flow of ink. Massive, massive, massive. Okay. Hi, caller. Welcome to the show. Go right ahead. Caller, you're live. Okay. All righty. I know. I'm trying. Hey, guys, I am literally trying to get there. Maybe there's something wrong with the phones. I don't know. But let me just say this. It's an embedded huge $4 trillion fiscal cliff in the budget numbers beginning in 2026, owing to the expiration of 2025. Okay, in the tax jobs bill. Okay, that he was referring to in the very, very beginning, the Tax Cut and Jobs Act of 2017. Okay, caller, go right ahead.
Hey, Kate.
Hi.
The green new steel.
Yeah.
I want the public's money back.
Right. I know.
I mean, we're talking just a couple of years here. Let's go back, say, maybe, 8 years. Obama's really thick in there, too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's go back and get the money back.
Right.
And tell the world that they can't ride our coattails anymore.
Thank you. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to hang up. Sorry. Yes. I agree. Caller. Okay. Go ahead, caller. Go right ahead.
Me?
Yes. Go right ahead.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm so glad I got in.
yeah, sure.
And I love your show.
Thank you.
And I don't know if I just missed it because I had to turn it off to call. But what no one's talking about, almost no one, is buried in the bill, Section 48201, strips the state's ability to regulate AI for the next 10 years. Did you know that?
Yeah. Yes. I'd heard something about AI. I didn't know that particular detail, but I knew that overall it was not going to be good for AI. Yeah.
And nobody's bringing this up. So Massey and all these people, with all due respect, they're gaslighting because that's what everyone should be bringing up if they gave a damn about it, in my opinion. You're
right. Love your phone call. Thank you for calling in. I love it. Thank you. Great call. Thank you. Yes, I had heard that AI was not going to be protected. It was going to be the opposite. But thank you for that. I really, really appreciate you calling in and voicing that. Be right back. Oh, big ouch. Be right back. Kate Dalley Show, KateDalleyRadio.com, talking about the unpopular things. Be right back.
I hear every day about the products you all wish MyPillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard MyPillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
All right, welcome back. Kate Dalley Show. All right, allfamilypharmacy.com is a sponsor of the show, and if you like this show, I would get your things through them because they'll support me saying what I say on the air, which is nice. Allfamilypharmacy.com/Kate. So it's a great twofer because you're supporting free speech. What's left of it? It's hanging by a thread, people, and especially on the radio. And it helps you. So I like that. And people were asking me, is there a pharmacy they can get ivermectin from and benzimidazole and take them together, by the way, to get rid of parasites, but also just hormones, anything, right? So antibiotics, extra ones of those. Yesterday I was talking about, are we going to see a blackout? Oh, that possibility is so very real. Anyway, just make sure you have stuff on hand, okay? Refills, things, even things to share, okay? Allfamilypharmacy.com/Kate, and then use the code Kate10. You'll get 10% off. So I love the song games people play, man. Anyway, okay, so here are some of the the things that people like about this bill. Okay. This is the extension of the 2017 Tax Cuts and Job Act. Okay. And lowers tax rates, increases standards, deductions. Okay. So they would have increased had it not, or had it expired. Okay. The other thing is estate tax exemptions. The bill increases the state tax exemption to $15 million, will be adjusted for inflation going forward. No taxes on tips and overtime and car loan interest, which were part of Trump's campaign promises. And the bill includes temporary tax breaks. Okay. And that's what Massey was referring to too. And the Green Deal, oh my gosh. Oh boy. It reminds me a little of USAID. USAID was it was interesting, the fight over USAID. It was interesting, like the Paris climate treaty too. That was another one that didn't really actually have much teeth to it, because it was like every 5 years you write the goals down of your country. But we made that a big deal. Okay. So we made it into this bigger thing, I think, than it actually was. But this is an interesting fight over this bill in particular. And she's right about the AI, because there is that provision. I just didn't know which provision it was. But so thank you for that call. But it was a 10-year moratorium on states enforcing AI regulations. Ouch. That's huge. That should make you mad. It really should. That's a big deal. We're going to see so much more of that come across the board. So having a moratorium, you have to understand why they care about that. Why do they care about that? Why'd they put that in there? Right? Ridiculous. States can still stand on their own and should. Okay, that's the message on that one. States do not have to do what the feds tell them to do. And let's just hope they have a backbone, which I don't believe they do. So I'm sorry. I just don't believe the states actually have that backbone, because the governorships of all the states now have been so co-opted to go along with whatever the Fed tells them. That's why you heard pleadings from Arizona on their border problem, and the feds trying to tell them that they had to obey what the feds said, and no, Arizona can actually stand on its own. So the states can stand on their own if they're willing to. Remember that under our Republicans, the USA Patriot Act was passed in October 2001. All because of the terrorist attacks. A lot of people have been asking me, because of the chick that showed up at the CIA door in Virginia, are we going to be looking at some false flags coming? I would think so. Yeah. And by the way, that Patriot Act, it was entitled the Uniting and Strengthening America by Providing Appropriate Tools Required to Intercept and Obstruct Terrorism Act of 2001. It's Patriot, providing appropriate tools required to intercept and obstruct terrorism act of 2001. And really what it does is penalize the citizen. It's all about going after the citizen. It's always the opposite of what the bill's called. Be right back. Kate Dalley Show.
Well, hello everybody. It's Annie Cyrus. Welcome to my art studio where all the magic happens. This is the station for painting, and that is the station for all the resin art I do. If you want to check out my art, all you gotta do is go to lutfstudio.com. But I'm sure for this, I hope I'll see you at lutfstudio.com.
Kate Dalley Show, little Chevy van. Remember that one? A little Wayback Machine. Okay. So mypillow.com, and the code word is Kate for wedding gifts, graduation gifts, because it helps the show. helps me stay on the air. And also because you're getting fabulous things. Mike usually would test out a product for a year before he'd actually add it to the lineup. And so he was testing for quality. And I still have all their bath towels are awesome too, and their sheets. But listen, the mypillow.com, great for Father's Day gifts. Those slippers are amazing. Get those ordered. They have all kinds of different styles, and you're getting huge discounts on those. Take advantage of that. You're getting it on the cheap, which is nice. And graduation gifts, everything, right? For moving out of the house, that kind of thing. So, and wedding gifts and stuff. So mypillow.com, and then of course use the code Kate, and then it helps the show. So, all right, let me kind of spell this out a little bit more, okay? Because I think there's just so much rhetoric about this bill, and to call it the big beautiful bill and just keep telling us that over and over again, I'm feeling a little brainwashed. But the use of the wording is just, after all the bills that we've suffered through on the show, 15 years worth, and everything is like apple pie and ice cream a la mode bill, and it's just, come on, it's just getting ridiculous at this point. But okay, so just to maintain the current individual income tax burden by extending the Tax Cut Job Act, right, for a decade would add another $4 trillion to the baseline. And yeah, it's not that true baseline of upwards 63 trillion of public debt by the end of the budget window. They are struggling to come up with even 1.5 trillion of budget cuts over the next decade. And they're going to be reallocated to spending increases for defense, border control. That's why they're talking about the border being secured, and other priorities, right? And not really a net dime left for deficit reduction. So that's a problem. And it shows 10-year savings of $700 billion from Medicaid. Yes. $200 billion from food stamps, $300 billion from education and student loans, $200 billion from the delayed phase out of the Biden green energy boondoggle crapola bill, or tax credits. But those savings could be swallowed up over time by the $100 billion per year increase in the defense budget already tabled in the skinny budget for 2026 alone. Okay. So that's what people are trying to say, is like, you're getting the first part of that, what I just said, but not the second part. That's what's going on in America right now. So there's tens of billions of additional increases annually for border control, veterans, air traffic control, other domestic priorities. And it's eating up hundreds of billions of the above savings over the full 10-year budget period. So the markups are full of budget. There's just like some gimmicky things. Okay. It's so hard too, because I know everybody just wants to feel so at peace with, it's our guys, they're going to put through this great bill. And that, boy, that's just not true. It's just not true. It's a uniparty. Sheer criminal negligence. Basically, we're looking at 89 trillion of baseline spending for 2026 through 2035. Okay, with really no net savings, just a big zero on that. And that's why, okay, you're going to see the leftists go out and go big, ugly debt bomb. So they're not going to look at any of the things that the Republicans are going, hey, that's good, like the things I mentioned earlier. But it's going to affect us in a big way. Okay, so the smart investors are going to see all of this coming, the guarantee that bond pits are going to suffer this catastrophic breakdown, okay, long before 2050. And the smart investors are going to see it coming. They're going to begin to sell their U.S. Treasury debt and even short it in order to get out of harm's way. And once the selling starts in the bond pits, it fuels a financial avalanche and a collapse, okay, which will be unstoppable. All right, even by printing money. That's what we're looking at. That's a problem. Now, the alternative theory is that he's doing all of this on purpose to bankrupt us, to get us to a point where things start climbing in a good direction, okay, and that we are going to be Well, let me play it for you. Let me play it for you. This is actually a clip of what I can't find it. Okay, here we go. All right, here we go. Let's see if I have time to play this. I'll give you part of this. Here we go.
This guy's background is property, and property includes refinancing,
and
he understands finance costs and how dilapidating high finance costs can be. What he's done with the tariffs, intentionally, I believe, is to crash the stock market. The stock market, the Dow Jones, is crashing. Investors are absolutely panicking. It's the same in the cryptocurrency market. Cryptocurrency markets crashed. They bounced a little bit, but they're on a downward trend. Now, what happens when...
Okay, and by the way, there was a crypto gala last night. Okay, anyway, here we go.
Now, what happens when investors are flooding out of the stock market, out of equities? Where do they go? They will go into things like gold, silver, but they will also go into things like government bonds. So as investors flood out of the stock market and into government bonds, what happens then? This drives down the yield on bonds. It drives down the return on bonds. So when the return and the yield on bonds decreases, on government bonds decreases, what does this do? It forces the Federal Reserve to lower interest rates, which up to this point has been resistant to do. Trump administration has been putting pressure on the Federal Reserve to lower interest rates for a while, and it's been resistant. However, the Federal Reserve is the government bank. That's where the government goes to borrow money. So if the Federal Reserve knows that the government which is a private corporation, by the way, it knows that the US government needs to refinance all of this debt, why would it lower rates? It's going to resist until the US needs to refinance. So I believe what you're seeing is a huge game. What you're seeing is the biggest game of high-stakes poker the world has ever seen, with about 1.7 trillion that's come out of the stock market and the crypto market, 1.7 trillion per hand. It's the biggest high-stakes poker game you've ever seen between Donald Trump, his administration, and the Federal Reserve. And the idea is to collapse the stock market, to cause investors to come out, go into government bonds, and then those government bond yields come down, forces the US Federal Reserve to lower its interest rates, and the US can refinance its $9 trillion debt. So my belief is what you're going to see is the markets completely soften. The US Federal Reserve is going to capitulate. It's going to lower its interest rate. The US will refinance all of its debt on a lower interest rate, and then you're going to see and bounce in the markets like you've never seen before. Forget the moon, forget Valhalla. This stuff is going outside of this dimension.
Okay, so that's the alternative theory that's out there. So I'm just trying to represent all sides right now. Okay. All right. So it's going to get interesting. Caller, you have 30 seconds. Go.
Yeah, you just got the communist side, the disinformation side. That was such.
Yeah. I didn't know if you were going to, because I had to turn your volume down.
The Federal Reserve doesn't need to lower interest rate. What did they do during the Great Depression? When they should have been lowering it, they increase it to increase the harm. He's basically saying we need to cut one of your hands off so you can start using the other hand.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah, I told you I'd play all sides. I'll be right back. Kate Dalley Show.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to announce the next generation of energy drinks, Rev 7. It has no sugar and no caffeine. Instead, Rev 7 uses Go BHB. Go BHB is one of the body's primary ketones, and it provides the most efficient and clean fuel that your body needs. It also helps you stay energized all day with no crashes. Not only that, it produces 3 times more brain energy than sugar, which helps boost your memory, focus, and mental sharpness. It also helps reduce stress and helps balance your mood. Rev 7 does all that while being the best tasting energy drink ever. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% today. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7. For a limited time, you get our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. I drink Rev 7 every day, and I absolutely love it, and so will you.
So there's just so much to say. And I do invite you to call in 888-673-1450. Remineralize your teeth. Get that done. Boy, it's good stuff too. It whitens your teeth. It's so great. It's like $20, you guys. So awesome. She does a great product, and hardly anyone has this kind of link sponsorship to it. So you can get that right on my website. It actually says, look for where it says remineralize on the ad, and you just click on that and you use Kate Dalley 10. This one is Kate Dalley 10, and you get 10% off, but get the mouthwash. It sits on your teeth all night. It's awesome because it's remineralizing those teeth, and it can help cure small cavities. It can, oh my gosh, there's just so many things it does to thwart the diseases that start, the illnesses that start in the mouth, which is like 85% of the time. Okay, and go get that product. $20, you can't beat it. Buy it for people you know, okay, as well. It makes a great gift too. Okay, there's just so many things. So and the caller was right. Okay, that's what people think is going on. That we're turning the boat around in the economy, and that we're playing chess. And that's why I wanted to play all sides for you, because I wanted to make sure that you hear from Thomas Massie, and then we hear from, people that think there's a plan in the background. I would love to think there was a plan in the background. For a little while back in 2016, I thought maybe that was true. And then you start realizing that no, all the same games are being played. Because it's always going to be, okay, let me put it this way. This is a good way to put it. In our Republican Party, okay, you have a Freedom Caucus that stands apart from the whole of the party. Why? Because our Republican Party is not a Freedom Caucus. And so you have a group that literally has to call themselves Freedom Caucus in order to exist. We have a party within a party, because the general party ain't working. We're not working. We're the ones that passed the Patriot Act. We're the ones that are passing this. And so few people were standing up to it, that this is how few people understand what we're doing in this country. And the long game is to take us out, not it really is just, it's not even a battle between right and left. It's always a battle between us and the deep state. Hi, caller. Welcome to the show. Go right ahead.
Yeah, the battle should be over tyranny and liberty.
Yeah.
Everything in that bill that you've talked about is advancing tyranny. Mm-hmm. The tax decreases that you talk about there.
Yes.
And before I get into the point, all the deception, we're going to hold off on this, and then we're going to do this, and Trump will be out of office, and so the Democrats can pick the ball up. Deception. But what was the big point I was going to make about the bill?
That's okay.
The social engineering. The government has no authority under the Constitution to be involved in the economy anywhere. Nowhere. Yeah. And yet there's social engineering, right, claiming, well, we have to hurt you here and hurt you there, and in the long run it's going to benefit you. There's no logic in what they're saying. They have no authority to social engineer, to impose socialism. Mm-hmm. They have no authority under the Constitution according to the law. And morally, socialism is evil. It's theft. Everything in that bill was bad, because the greater the debt is, the quicker we're getting to the point of collapse of the economy. And what's going to come out of the collapse of the economy, not only all the suffering and pain, is going to be total tyranny. That's the goal. That's what, how much socialism did we get under FDR because of the Great Depression? Mm-hmm. The greatest advancement of socialism in our history until recent years was under him, and they justified it because of the Great Depression harm. And they're doing the same tactic over and over again. Hurt the people, and the people will accept our communism.
Thank you. I really appreciate the call, Mark. Thank you. Yeah. So we have really horrid things: socialized medicine, the advancement of NSA spying, everything that happens under, Obama and happens under Clinton And then happens under Bush and, of course, under Trump, because it's all the uniparty in the background. So I think what's hard for people to digest is that you don't really gonna get that feeling of we finally got some peace, because really all you got peace from was the trans stuff. Hi, caller. Welcome to the show. Go right ahead.
Hi there, Kate.
Hi.
Yeah, I mean, it's just all such a big scam.
Yeah.
And we say Ponzi scheme, but people don't really know what that is. It's pretty simple. People should look it up to understand what it is. Every world reserve currency goes through this. It collapses, and then the power elite moves on to another country and does the same thing. They just move these chess pieces all over the world. These resets happen over and over again. They know exactly what they're doing. And I think something really good for people to watch is the Big Short?
Yes.
When they talked about like the 2008 debacle, they did a really good job. And you'll see what a gambling casino it is. And it's all a joke. And then at the very end, a lot of people think the movie's over, but you got to watch till the very end.
Yeah.
And they let you know that the government knew what was going on the whole time.
Yes. Thank you for that. I had a huge, thank you for that. I had a huge email exchange with Michael Burry one night. I was literally cleaning my floors. I'm serious. I was on my hands and knees cleaning my floors, and we're emailing each other. Michael Burry is the subject of The Big Short. And he told me, he said, I can't come on your show because I'm under contract, but he said, there's a lot they're saying that I'm doing all these things I'm not doing too. And a lot of it had to do with water at the time, but he was an interesting email exchanger. So we kept up a dialogue several different times, and Michael Burry, very interesting guy, the subject of The Big Short, the true life subject of The Big Short. Yes. Are we living in a scam? Yes. Is it political theater on all sides? Yes. And it's okay. We're okay. We'll work through this. All of those that see it and know are pretty much at this point probably going, okay, how do I take care of my family and how do I take care of myself and try to fight it still and bring awareness to this. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once you see all the fakery going on that's given to the public, you can't unsee it. That's one thing I love about truth. If there's anything I can say, that truth is just an incredible thing, is that it can't be unseen. You'll try, but it can't be. Be right back on the Kate Dalley Show. I'll take your calls too. Be right back.
I hear every day about the products you all wish MyPillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard MyPillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
Moment.
So are these current Democrats the ones to meet the moment?
What do you want to see us doing right now in this moment?
And which Democrats are actually going to stand up against Elon Musk and Donald Trump in this moment?
The fight that you all are exhibiting is not just what the base wants, but it's what this moment requires.
Today's dramatic escalation in the Trump administration's conflict with judges.
The Trump administration signaling a major escalation in its deportation efforts.
Today, an escalation in the Trump administration's battle with the judiciary.
Tensions between local and federal authorities over President Trump's immigration crackdown escalated today.
We begin this hour with a major escalation.
The next election may be the most important one in 100 years.
In what is almost certain to be one of the most consequential elections, not only of our lifetimes, but of the post-World War II American period.
This is one of the most important elections in the history of the United States of America.
This is the most important election in history.
This is the most important election in this nation in 50 years.
The most important of all choices will be made by the American people at the polls less than 3 months from tonight.
Isn't that an interesting clip? Methinks there's a whole lot of brainwashing going on. Is your brain feeling particularly clean? Little too much washing going on? Oh my gosh, you guys. From all sides, right? Media full of the same lingo. The president's going all the way back. Most important election of our lifetime. I mean, we have got to get out of the brainwashing apparatus, please. All right, so there's a couple things that phone lines are open, 888-673-1450. Welcome to the Kate Dalley Show. And of course, I want to play this clip. This is a clip it's really about Obama, actually. But there's a couple of things in it that weren't accurate, but then the overall message is accurate, but I'll point out the things that aren't accurate. I can't stand Obama. But let me play this clip for you because it's a very interesting clip about the CIA and Obama. Here we go.
President-elect Barack Obama's citizenship is in question again. Opponents in New Jersey have filed a lawsuit contesting whether Obama is legally qualified to serve as president, and they should find out Monday whether the U.S. Supreme Court will consider the lawsuit.
2008, something unbelievable happened for us in the FBI. We were getting lots of rumors about this high-level asset that worked for several intelligence agencies at the same time. He worked for the Saudi intelligence service. He worked for the CIA, and he was being developed as a political asset in Chicago, Illinois. He was not even a United States citizen, but it was said that he was a student visa and that he was a national from another country. In 2008, everyone in the intelligence structure found out who he was. It was this individual whose name I don't like to say, who became president in 2008 of the United States.
And I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States. The office of President of the United States.
One of his code names was Renegade. His real name was Barry Sortoro, but he adopted a different name for his political career. When they ran him for president, the cabal, basically, this was the culmination of so many of their plans for so many years. His mission was to destroy the United States from within, one institution at a time. One of the things he did, of course, was he defunded our military. He brought down the resources that they got. But then he ordered our military in many, many instances and in various theaters to attack our allies and to defend and supply and help our enemies. That's exactly how he created ISIS. He would say publicly that the military were going to bomb our enemies, but then he would have the military actually bomb enemies of ISIS, our allies. He gave ISIS funding and equipment by basically ordering our military to take equipment into a certain theater and then abandon it. And the commanders would say, that's ridiculous. We'd just be handing that stuff over to ISIS. And the president's office would say, don't question orders, just follow your orders.
44 and the one before that, 43, Bush and Obama. Well, there are pictures of Bush with his arm around 8-year-old Barack Obama because his stepdaddy, adopted daddy, Lolo Sotoro, had done a lifetime worth of business with the Bushes.
Wow.
Uncle George Herbert Walker, after whom George Herbert Walker Bush, Bush 1 president, was named, founded Halliburton in 1946 in Oklahoma. And Lolo Sotoro had been international executive vice president for Standard Oil.
There was talk of him being a CIA asset.
Well, yeah.
Indonesia.
See, he ran the death squads for the Indonesian army. On his own call, anyone could be assassinated. So when George Herbert Walker Bush became head of the CIA under the Ford administration, he just got with his old buddy in the oil business, Lolo Soetoro, and pulled off the hits. See, Barack's grandmother has been acknowledged as being the woman that operated the channels through which CIA money went to the Southwest Pacific. So she introduced her daughter, who had just had Barry, Barack, to Lolo Soetoro, and they got married, and Lolo Soetoro adopted Barack Obama. The name was changed to Barry Soetoro. Now, when he went to high school in Hawaii, I know about that high school. I almost sent my oldest son to it. I could afford it, but I didn't think he deserved it. 20 years ago, the tuition was $95,000 a year, not including room and board. When Obama went there, I've talked to two of his classmates. They independently state that the tuition, not including room and board, was $45,000. Now, Business Insider reports his income for 2017 at over $200 million net. That's after taxes, deductions, write-offs. For this last year, 2018, they reported it as $570+ million. And that's after all deductions, tax, right? Trump doesn't make that net.
All right. So it's an interesting clip. It wasn't Standard Oil for Lolo, for Barry's stepdad. It was Unical. But they did have a relationship with Standard Oil, a complicated one. And it always looked like they were squaring off to Standard Oil, but there was a more complicated relationship in the background. My point is that we have a long history of CIA assets, okay? And that was Judge Joe Brown, by the way. And sometimes he embellishes a little, like as far as taking it another step farther. I don't know that Lolo was in charge of all the hit squads in Indonesia, but was he an asset? Yeah. Was Obama's mother an asset? Yes. Or Gates's parents asset? Yes. I mean, it all goes back to CIA. So it all goes back to the intelligence racket, you know, for many of these. And you'll notice that when Barack Barry was a senator, he didn't actually vote a whole lot. And that's all he's getting paid to do, right? So he was too busy being groomed into the presidency, but nobody really wanted to see that. I think at the time we just, you know, I think Republicans were feeling like, okay, fine, let's do this with this candidate. Let's see this hope and change. And hope and change was just on the slogans. He was never designed to do anything but destroy. But so were the other presidents too, and that's my point. All the other presidents, there was an interesting discussion about the role of the VP and how Carter changed that from in the 25th Amendment. That Carter started relying more on the VP, and that the VP was supposed to be part of the legislative branch, but it turned into this role. And we talk about the VP and the president as really impeachment insurance, but there's also a whole lot of handling that goes on. So like George Papa Bush didn't need a handler. He was the handler for Reagan. So he puts in his little VP as impeachment insurance, because no one's going to go after the presidency, right? And so it's just a placeholder card. So there's the placeholder card, and then there's the handler situation, right? Cheney was the handler to Bush Jr., to George Bush, and you have all these handling positions. Obama was intelligent. He didn't need a handler, so he puts in dopey little, King can't talk a lot. So we have all of these weird situations, right? And then all of these like little tie-ins. You had Mondale, as VP, and he was leaned upon by Carter, but not just leaned upon, he was handled by Mondale. So there's lots of different relationships like this going all the way back And it wasn't just Obama. We have to look at both sides. If you're really politically awake, you're going to see both sides of this, just like I showed in the clip, right? All the presidents on script saying it's the most important election of our lifetime. And then, of course, all the media skewering Trump, and then the media favoring Trump. They're always using the same words. It's just phenomenal how it is used to brainwash us over and over and over again to play the sides. Because a lot of people that are playing the sides will look at that clip and they'll see, Obama came in to destroy, but before that we were okay. And we know that's a lie because, hello, Patriot Act, things I just mentioned in the last hour. So it's always coming in steps from each presidency. And I do believe Hillary was Bill's handler. Gore voted against himself to put Bush in when the whole tabulation problem in 2000 came along. Had the opportunity to vote and voted against himself. I mean, McCain voted against removing Obamacare. I mean, it's the total uniparty, 100% in the background. And most of it run by intelligence. And not just run in the backdrop by intelligence, but they are intelligence. And yeah, I'll just put that right there. I'll just lay that right there for the break. Be right back. Kate Dalley Show. It's insane. Be right back.
Well, hello, everybody. It's Annie Cyrus. Welcome to my art studio where all the magic happens. This is the station for painting, and that is the station for all the resin art I do. If you want to check out my art, all you gotta do is go to lutfstudio.com. But I'm sure for this, I hope I'll see you at lutfstudio.com.
Back, yeah, up on that stage again. Welcome back, Kate Dalley Show. I'm off tomorrow and Monday. Next week is really heavy with guests. And I also want to tell you, this show brought to you by Canyon Media Studios is hosting this show nationwide, and Patriot Radio. Also, you can get this on X, American News, in the evening as well, and on Rumble. And if I'm not banned from YouTube still, it'll go up on YouTube. So I'm always banned on YouTube. It's a problem. All right. So just, of course, the sponsors. Just make sure that you hit the sponsors because it helps me stay on the air. And without them, I couldn't be here. So I really appreciate the sponsors of my show. Those willing to help free speech. Those willing to help out. Thank you. Thank you for that. You can also give to the show directly, and the links are right on katedalleyradio.com. So going back to this, remember that Ford had Rockefeller as his VP. Rockefeller. Yeah. Remember that Clinton, he was a special brand of CIA. His appear to go all the way back to the 1960s. He was recruited while studying at Oxford in the late 1960s as a Rhodes Scholar. That usually pops up. It's usually a determining factor in that, and checks all the boxes, I should say. Undergraduate at Georgetown, huge CIA recruiting center, and then served as an informant on the anti-war movement in England as part of CIA's Operation Chaos. A lot of people refer to chaos right now. Have you noticed that? There's a lot of, referring to that right now. It's very, anyway, giving the CIA the names of fellow protesters and the sources of the movement's funding. And then, of course, the CIA is further suspected of funding a march in 1969 that Clinton took, a trip that Clinton took to Moscow, where he was allegedly part of a mission to smuggle out the memoir of an ex-Soviet Premier Khrushchev. Translated into 16 languages, this was a coup for the CIA since Khrushchev had denounced the crimes of Stalin and presented a negative view of the Soviet Union. And so remember that Biden's handler was not Hormala. It was not Hormala. Hormala has her own handler. That's her husband. No, it was his chief of staff. Remember that. Kind of an interesting little piece of information, too. I wanted to mention that just in this current, the current times. But was Hillary Clinton's handler? Many think so. Yes. Was it ever a relationship, a marriage born out of love? No. And was she an asset? Allegedly, yes. I'll say allegedly, but many people have weighed in on that she was his handler because they knew that he was being groomed for the White House. He was seen in pictures and lunches and all kinds of things over at the Bushes. They're all friendly. They're all besties. And so that clip on Obama, much of that is accurate, I would say, to a point of being able to try to verify. Okay. So it's an interesting clip on Obama, going into the details of even his code name. Who knows if that is accurate or not? There's no way to verify that. But let me just, it being groomed into that position, not having a past, not actually being born in the country. And by the way, complete silence on that. Total and complete silence on the whole birther thing, right? So it was brought up in 2016. Trump actually brought that up and then never to be mentioned. We're not mentioning it ever. We're not mentioning what Hillary has done. We're not mentioning what Obama did. We're not mentioning the election fraud with Biden, King Dingaling. We're not mentioning anything like that. And so it's always moved forward. And the one thing that I consistently hear from people who hide as Republicans, but they do have an agenda, is never boo, never heckle, never voice anything like that, because you're classy and nice if you don't do that. So don't do that. Go cry in the corner, in private, but don't ever be public, because we all have to be on the same side to get anywhere, because the leftists are against us and we have to be on the same side. The leftists are a bunch of nimrods, yes, and they don't understand government, yes, nor the Constitution. But you should always voice. You should always say when something's not okay. And when people try to tell you not to do that, it's a pretty big sign that they're not genuine, because even the founders argued, yelled, debated, heckled each other. I mean, it was part of the debate of liberty. Don't ever forget that. Be right back, Kate Dalley Show.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to announce the next generation of energy drinks, Rev 7. It has no sugar and no caffeine. Instead, Rev 7 uses Go BHB. Go BHB is one of the body's primary ketones, and it provides the most efficient and clean fuel that your body needs. It also helps you stay energized all day with no crashes. Not only that, it produces 3 times more brain energy than sugar, which helps boost your memory, focus, and mental sharpness. It also helps reduce stress and helps balance your mood. Rev 7 does all that while being the best tasting energy drink ever. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% today. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7. For a limited time, you get our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. I drink Rev 7 every day and I absolutely love it, and so will you.
And I'm feeling the strain. Always shame. Oh, give me the beat, boys.
Welcome back, Kate Dalley Show. This song really actually reminds me of summer. I remember listening to this in the summertime. Welcome back to the show. FIQ Supplements. They're a great supplement company. I love their ingredients, most of all. So they are fantastic. And the code word is Kate. Go to FIQsupplements.com, code word Kate. Always appreciate your call-ins. And, who is Trump's handler? Vance. And Vance. I mean, it just is. Sorry. It is what it is. Because you can't make it into the presidency without that. You can't. And it's just how it works. It's how it's worked for a long time. And I don't know that that's changing anytime soon. And I know people don't want to understand that or even believe it. And that's okay. That's okay. There's enough out there. People probably, if you were, interested in really examining and looking. There's just so much out there, even on Clinton's career, Obama's career, or lack of, in the sector of what we could talk about, right? And all of them. I mean, all of them. It's interesting to watch it as a whole. And I think when you truly wake up and you sort of really realize what's been going on in all the political theater, I don't know how you couldn't recognize it at this point, just because of the stuff like today with this bill. And the bill goes through. And of course, what we're staring at is a bill that has all kinds of weird things thrown into it that affect us 5 years down the road. And I mean, it's just insane, right? But it's all done by design, and the uniparty's hard at work. Hi, caller. Welcome to the show. Go right ahead.
Oh, hi, Kate.
Hi.
Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
So the thing I wanted to clarify something with you. When you say their handler, are you inferring that the presidents have all been pain drug hypnosis, PDH'd?
No,
like
I'm talking about keeping them on script. So they're there they're not just leaned on. They're the ones that call the shots. Like Cheney was calling the shots behind Bush. They're the ones that keep it all on script, because you don't want somebody thinking they've got all the power in the world and then trying to do things. So you've got this VP usually that's in that is the handler, is the theory. Yeah.
Do you think in addition to that these guys are like Manchurian candidates and they're being controlled through a mind control operation?
I don't know.
Am I too far? Am I just too far out on the conspiratorial ladder?
I think that exists, yes. But I do think that people could be told, if you're a president and they tell you this plan, if you do this, this, and this, it'll result in this, this, and this 5 years down the road, and you will be the hero. I think a president would buy into that, not realizing what they're doing. But then there's also ones that I think very much realize that they are in the game and doing what they're doing, because every president has been, we haven't had a president that has based anything on the Constitution in the last 100 years, right? Just under that. So you tell me.
So that, okay. So then some people have inferred that there was a Constitution for the United States of America and then a Constitution of the United States of America.
Yep.
And that the Constitution of the United States of America is a corporation. It doesn't operate under the de jure original Constitution. Have you heard that?
Yes, we've done shows on it, actually. Yeah.
I haven't heard those shows, but I would enjoy it. But maybe sometime when you're not there, you can play one of those shows.
You got it. I will. Thank you so much. Love the phone call. Thank you.
Thank you.
I wish I knew the mindset of each president. I wish I knew what they knew and what they didn't know. I don't. But when you look at the careers, okay, of all the people involved in the vice presidency and the presidency over the last, even just taking the last 60 years, 70 years, okay, you're going to see a lot of intelligence ties in those resumes. You're going to see that certain people are paired with certain people. And even in Reagan's case, he did not want Bush as his VP. I think Reagan was a good show pony. I've said that before on the show, but just because who didn't like Reagan? Reagan was great. Reagan was a grandfather of the country. Reagan told jokes perfectly. He was amazing, good storyteller. But I don't think he knew what was going on under him. I actually don't think, I think that he was kind of kept from knowing things. And Bush was appointed by the party to be in that spot, even though he was not wanted by the president. Everybody thinks the president usually will get somebody that they truly want. I don't think that's the case at all. I think that it's a pairing, and it's a pairing for a reason. But you can't ignore all the backdrop careers of all these people, even Rockefeller, even Agnew, even all of these people. You can't ignore who they are and the career from which they came to us from. So, with all their ties, they're not going to put somebody in those two positions, because here's the deal. For the last 60, 70 years, they've wanted 80, 90 years, they've wanted the American public to think that the presidency is all being, all knowing, can do all of it. And it all depends on the presidency if the country wins or loses. Okay. Depending on your bent. Now, over 60% of the country is conservative. So the races could have never been close. But we're not told that. We're told the races are close. Okay. Because they have a lot of playroom in those races. And you have to look at races all the way down to your city level. Who's in there? How did they get in there? If the races are fixed, look at who's in there. Okay. So constantly be doing that, right? Who gets in and who doesn't clearly get in. There's reasons behind that. But when it comes to the presidency, they want the American people to only dial in on the presidency and never on anyone else running the government, not the think tanks, not the banksters, not anyone else. They just want our focus on the presidency. So what they do is they carefully design a script in which the media is the giver of the information, and everything every day is this side, this president versus this president. What is this guy going to do versus what's this guy going to do? Then all the people sit and relax. And if your guy's in, you relax for 4 years. If they're not in, like when we have our Democratic years, right? The Democrats are in, talk radio goes through the roof because talk radio is, everybody vents because this president is doing XYZ and oh my gosh. And yeah, for the right reason, you should be angry, but you should also be just as angry when our side is in because of the things that are going to happen. So the uniparty has existed for over 90 years, 100 years, and they're going to do what they're going to do. And they're never going to put somebody in those positions that is not going to take orders. That's just how it works because they're truly not running things. We're under a big mirage in this country that the president's at the helm. They are not at the helm. It's a stage. It's a placard place. And they're getting directions. They might be told in those directions that they're doing it for a totally different reason. They might believe it. Who knows? Or they're in on it. It's either or. So, and sorry, but you're not going to be president twice unless you're in the club. They would never allow that. Just like they flipped it in front of everybody and showed us, we're going to put in Ding-a-ling, who everybody detests, right? I said that yesterday too. Everybody detests him in America. He was the running joke in America. Foot and mouth syndrome, bumbling idiot. He was a placeholder for whatever they wanted the vote to be. And they put him in just to say to people, or just to show us, really, what are you going to do about it? You can't. We control things. So at that moment, people should have clued in. Even though it wasn't the first time, people should have clued in on that moment to say, oh my gosh, this thing is truly controlled. But we keep thinking that all of our hope is going to rest in the presidency of the United States when it's supposed to rest in ourselves for what we do when we get together in mass, because that's what they're truly afraid of. Go look at all their careers. All their careers. You can go back and you can find all of the indicators, the big, huge indicators that they're part of the club. Be right back. Kate Dalley Show.
I hear every day about the products you all wish MyPillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard MyPillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
Listening to the Kate Dalley Show. I'm off tomorrow and Monday, but I have guests all week next week, and just letting you know that. Okay. So welcome back. Call-in number is 888-673-1450. Can't wait to hear from you. And people like Henry Kissinger, I think, were very busy running operations way more so than the president, if that makes sense. I always get those questions. Well, who was it? Well, it's people like Henry Kissinger. You had people that never went away. It didn't matter who got in. They were always right there, close to the vest, right? They were always right there. And he was doing a lot of our foreign deals. and really exploded our nation's relationship with China. We had a relationship, though, before that, and we were actually sending drugs over there. We lied about their population. We beefed up the numbers quite in a huge way to get the movement going for eugenics. We used China a lot. China, we were actually funding China in the low 1900s to huge amounts, but we don't really ever talk about that. But Henry Kissinger kind of did it on steroids. So a lot of people in the background really running things, not usually the president and vice president, but in those positions to stay on script, it just kind of works like that. And I know no one wants to hear that. I know it's unpopular. What can I say? Papa Bush actually, in his biography, there's 10 years that are not accounted for. I don't know if people realize that. I did a big expose on Papa Bush and the 10 years that he was in the CIA, but failed to say so. And so when you wonder why he became the director of the CIA all of a sudden, he had been in the CIA, but he and also was working with Dressler Industries out of Russia as well. But people don't ever want to talk about that because how dare you say anything, right? If somebody's on the right, it's hard to get people to want to out the information. But that's just kind of where we're at as a society. We've been heavily brainwashed to think that whoever's put in that position, because this is what we're told by the media all the time, whoever is put in will make or break us. But the only thing I ever see is the breaking of us. We're not, it's like this bill. If you really were a party of freedom and liberty, and you could restore and take so much garbage out and take out the socialism and kick Obama care to the curb and build your wall. Like, remember, that's what we heard, for 4 years. So if we were ever going to do any of those things, they'd be doing it. They're not. They're doing a bill that it's putting in trillions of dollars, right? It's not, there's a couple little cute little carrots, and that they're not even that cute because of what happens later on, but we're getting told that this is something for us. And so people want to walk away and they want to turn their brain off and they want to go, yeah, we're saved. But that's not how it works. So they all had handlers. They all got in for certain reasons to represent certain interests more than others, because I do believe that there's different camps of the deep state. The overall goal is the same, but they go about it in different ways the people that really wanted Obama in have different vested interests than those that wanted Trump in. And I've done shows about that, actually, that there are those different factions on who's doing the more of the profiteering, but they all have the same deep state goal in the background. And the ties, if you go really into the ties of Obama, if you really look at his history, if you really look at Clinton, the Bushes, the Bush family, it's exhausting when you start really looking at it. I'll say that. You start noticing things, kind of like Gore voting against himself, and then claiming he got robbed from the presidency in 2000, with the hanging Chad. I mean, it's such a game being played in front of us, right? So a lot of it's about money, but more than not, more of the bigger picture is about control and tyranny. And you probably won't hear a lot of people talk about that, because a lot of the talk show hosts out there, unfortunately, are going to be on our conservative side, are going to be very much into the president, whoever's in the presidency is that tells the tale for the entire country for that 4 years. But that's not really the case. The case is, it's just not. But you're just gonna constantly hear that, because you're never gonna hear that the VP is a handler. You're never gonna hear that you have these people like Henry Kissinger and these think tanks, the ones that man the think tanks, like John Kerry, big operative, who is in there to control and handle behind the scenes. These are the people doing the actual business of America, and the position out in front, the presidency and VP, is basically for the media, if that makes sense. My wish, my hope, because this is so controversial even to say in this whole last hour, right? Is that we just think about it a little bit, absorb it a little bit. Once you start to see it, you can't unsee it. I said that before, but I really mean it. And I wish that wasn't the case. I really do. I actually wish it wasn't. But I can't ignore it either. And in my research, because I'm researching so much all the time, you can't even understand the mounds of evidence that support what I'm saying. It's gross. It's gross. Like, it's bad, but it's obvious. And then I'm thinking, why have we not seen this for years and years and years, right? What's wrong with us that we can't see this? But they're so good at it. And you have a lot of people that go into conservative states and they're posing as Republicans, and then they influence and they get people to not stand up for anything and not say anything and not say what they're seeing in front of their face, and it's an influential way to turn people. That's what it is. It's very gradual. You get people to trust you and then you sway them right in another way. And so Republicans are getting more and more quiet. They're not standing up to anything. You're not going to see it. People are going to see this big bill and they're going to see what's in it, and they're still not going to say anything because the brainwashing's that good. They're still not going to do it. And yes, you should boo and heckle those people that are terrible in politics. And yes, you should stand up and be more vocal, but they're going to train us. They're going to train people not to say that, not to do that, because it's going to be the nice way that we move forward. And everyone's going to be nicing themselves into a cage. That's pretty much how that works. It's sad. It's sad. So on that cheery note, there's your Friday show. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not here tomorrow or Monday, but I'll be back next week with Mel, Suzanne, Chrisanne. A lot of guests wanting to weigh in. This is just a very busy week, but I so appreciate you tuning in, and share the show with people so they can understand and look into it more and do more research, because really and truly, we should all be doing a lot of homework all the time.